All right, fourth grade, before I start the read aloud tonight, I just wanted to check in with you and make sure you understand. When you first log on, you're going to see your stream page. This is where there's messages from students and just different messages from Mrs. Debo. So it is important to check the messages that I'm writing. And then under classwork is where you will have all of your actual work, okay? So when you have anything under a week listed here, these are assignments that are graded. Anything else, for example, here, read alouds and extension activities, these are choices that you have. If you want to do these things, you can. I highly suggest that you do the read alouds, listen to them, and respond to them, because I think you're going to get more out of that than some of these activities here. Okay, so please listen to the read aloud. It's not graded, but I would like you to listen. All right, and then the other thing, there are those troubleshooting videos here. So if you are having trouble or you heard from Mrs. Debo, I'm not getting your work, or Miss Wolf, watch these videos, please, okay? And please have your parents watch them so they can help you, all right? If you have any questions, please have your parents call me. Okay, so we're going to read the rest of chapter 8 tonight. We left off where Peter and Jimmy were arguing, so let's start at the top here. I waited until Halloween afternoon to call him. "It's me," I said. "I'm sorry." "About what?" he asked. "You know, about the price of your father's paintings." "Oh, that? It just so happens that my parents are thinking about buying it." "Which one?" "You know, Anita's Anger." "Oh, that one? You should tell them to buy a different painting. Anita's Anger is a ripoff. Even my father says so." "But you said—" "I know what I said." For a minute, neither of us spoke. Finally, I asked, "So what are you doing for Halloween?" "The usual," he said. "Nothing. How about you?" "I'm taking Fudge trick-or-treating." "How'd you get roped into that?" "I volunteered." "You volunteered?" "I think he was chewing gum this time. You weren't kidding when you said everything's changed." He was chewing gum. I could tell he was blowing a bubble. And I thought I heard a pop when the bubble broke. My mother and father were surprised when I told them I'd take Fudge trick-or-treating. But Alex said he'd come with me as long as he didn't have to walk next to Fudge or hold his hand crossing streets or anything gross like that. Besides, we planned to take him out early, bring him home, then go out by ourselves. And I knew how badly he wanted to go with us and not with Mom or Dad like all the other kindergarten babies. How do you think this is making Jimmy feel that he's such good friends with Alex? Alex called for me at 6:30. And when I saw him, I couldn't believe it. He was wearing a costume. A sheet decorated with black circles and one red square. "I'm Anita's Anger," he said. "You like it?" He turned around a couple of times, holding his arms out. "It's different," I said. "What are you?" he asked. "Me?" I said. I was wearing jeans and a flannel shirt, the same clothes I'd worn to school that day. "He's a sixth grader," Fudge said, "and Tootsie's a baby, and Turtle's a dog, and Mommy's a mommy, and Daddy's a daddy, but I'm a scary, scary ghost. Ooh!" Fudge swooped around across the room. "You mean you're not even going to wear a costume?" Alex said. "Not even a mask?" "Sure I am," I said. "It's, upstairs." "Wait a minute. I'll go and get it." I raced up the stairs and found Mom changing Tootsie. "Where's Fudge's disguise?" I asked her. She looked blank. "The one he sent away for, you know, for 4 cereal boxes and 25 cents. "Oh, that disguise," Mom said, sprinkling baby powder on Tootsie's backside. "I'm not sure." "But, Mom, I need it right away, so please try to remember." "I thought you weren't dressing up this year." "I changed my mind, and Alex is downstairs waiting." "Let's see," Mom said, fastening Tootsie's clean diaper. "It could be in with Fudge's toys. He's always liked that disguise. Look at his closet, in the red toy box." I ran down the hall to Fudge's room and threw open his closet door. The red toy box, the red toy box. Let's see. Here it is. I dragged it out and rummaged through it. And there at the very bottom, in a Pepperidge Farm cookie box, there were black eyeglass rims attached to a rubber nose and a stick-on beard and mustache. I also found an old hat that once belonged to Grandfather Hatcher. I smoothed it out and put it on along with Fudge's disguise. I checked myself in the bathroom mirror, then ran downstairs. "That's mine," Fudge hollered when he saw me. "I'm just borrowing it for a few hours." No, I said. "No?" I said. "Okay, then you don't get to go trick-or-treating with me and Alex. You can go with Daddy, like all the other kindergarten babies. Goodbye." I flung off the glasses and rubber nose, tossed them aside, and acted like I was really going to leave without him. "No," he cried. "Come back, Peta." "Not unless I get to wear the disguise." "Okay, you can wear it, but it's still mine, right?" "Yeah, sure, it's yours." I looked over at Alex, who was shaking his head. Alex still can't figure out my family. We grabbed our UNICEF boxes and our pillowcases to hold our loot, and we left. We worked our way up one side of the street, then down the other. We got close to Mrs. Moldor's house. Alex said, maybe she'll give us some worms for a treat. Worms, Fudge said? Yeah, Alex told him. She's very big on worms. So is Uncle Feather, Fudge said. Uncle Feather is a bird, I said. Why does everybody keep saying that? Fudge asked. I know Uncle Feather is a bird. He was quiet for a minute. Then he said, what does she do with her worms? You know, she eats them, Alex said. Really? Fudge asked me. We think so, I told him. We walked up to the path to Mrs. Moldor's house, and Alex rang the bell. If she gives us worms, we can feed them to Uncle Feather, Fudge whispered. Shh, I told him. What do you think might happen? We know how mischievous Fudge can be. Mrs. Moldor opened the door. She was wearing a jogging suit. Well, she said. What a cute little ghost. I'm not cute. I'm scary, Fudge told her. Woo! Mrs. Moldor clutched at her chest. Oh my, you are a scary ghost. Hi, Mrs. Moldor, Alex said. Hello, Alex. That's an unusual costume you're wearing. It's called Anita's Anger, Alex said. I got the idea from a painting downtown. Mrs. Moldor turned away from us and called, Beverly, come here. You've got to see this. Right away, I knew it was her. Giraffe Neck. I knew before I could even see her face. I knew by the way she walked from the other room to the front door and by the curly hair. This is my daughter Beverly, Mrs. Moldor said to us. Then she turned to Beverly and said, Alex is dressed as a painting. Can you guess which one? Beverly studied Alex for a minute. Well, with the white background, the black circles, and the red square, it must be Anita's Anger. Right, Alex said. I thought about telling Beverly about the night Jimmy's parents had their big fight and how Mrs. Fargo had dumped red paint on Mr. Fargo's canvas and how Mr. Fargo had named his painting Anita's Anger because Anita is Jimmy's mother. I thought about telling her the whole story, but then I remembered how I've told Jimmy things that I wouldn't have told anybody else. And I knew that if I were Jimmy, I wouldn't want my best friend telling the whole world's secrets about my family. Do you really eat worms? Fudge asked out of nowhere. How many of you knew he was going to ask that question? I gave him a kick, but that didn't stop him. Pete says you eat them all the time, and he knows everything because he's naturally smart, except for matching questions. Mrs. Moldor and Beverly looked at each other. Fudge continued, So did you? Did we what? Mrs. Moldor asked. Eat worms for supper tonight. Alex let out a groan, and I could see her business going down the drain. Mrs. Moldor smiled at Fudge. Yes, we did, she told him. Beverly added, There's nothing like home-baked worms, and my mother's recipe is the best. We eat them instead of cauliflower, Mrs. Moldor said. We need to get our vitamins one way or another. Are your worms fortified? Fudge asked. Alex groaned again. My worms are naturally fortified, Mrs. Moldor said. They're chock full of vitamins. No preservatives, nothing added, just the real thing. She was beginning to sound like a commercial for worms. I could hear the announcer saying, Buy Mrs. Moldor's naturally fortified worms. They're chock full of vitamins. Grind them up in your favorite recipe. Blend them into milkshakes. Serve them instead of cauliflower on those special occasions. Would you like to taste my special worm cookies? Mrs. Moldor asked Fudge. Yes, Fudge said, following Mrs. Moldor into the house. We marched through the house into the kitchen. On the counter was a big plate of cookies. Fresh out of the oven, Mrs. Moldor said. They look like chocolate chips, Fudge said. They are, Mrs. Moldor told him. Chocolate chip worm cookies. Which part is worm? Fudge asked. Mrs. Moldor laughed. You can't see the worms. I grind them up and mix them into the flour. Just like my commercial, I thought. Go on, Mrs. Moldor said, offering the plate of cookies to Fudge. Take one. Fudge chose a cookie and held it to his lips. But he hesitated, and I could see he wasn't sure he really wanted to taste a chocolate chip worm cookie after all. Beverly took one and shoved it into her mouth all at once. She said, These are really good, Mother. She took another one and ate it quickly. Then she brushed the crumbs off her hands. Fudge bit into his cookie. He chewed it up very slowly. It's good, he said. You can't even taste the worms. Mrs. Moldor offered the plate to Alex and me. We each took a cookie. Fudge asked if he could have another, and Mrs. Moldor said she'd do better than that. She wrapped a little package of cookies for him to take with him. When we got home, Fudge dumped out his pillowcase on the dining room table. He arranged his loot in stacks and counted everything. 11 M&Ms, 7 Nestle's Crunch, 5 Hershey's with almonds, 3 with 2 Milky Ways. 5 Hershey's without almonds, 3 with 2 Milky Ways, 1 granola bar, 4 apples, and 6 worm cookies. What did you say, Mom asked him. Nothing, Mom, I told her. He didn't say anything. Did you, Fudge? Here, Mommy, Fudge said. Have a cookie. Mrs. Moldor just baked them. Thank you, Mom said. She tasted it. Very good. I wonder where she got her recipe. It's been in her family for a long time, I said. And they're naturally fortified with... I didn't give him a chance to finish. No preservatives, no additives, naturally fortified and chock full of vitamins. Right, Fudge? Right, Peter, he said, smiling, and I knew that he understood. Is this a turning point here where Fudge is starting to understand Peter's hints a little bit more? He's not taking things as literally. So below our video, there will be a place for you to write comments or predictions on our reading tonight. So please feel free to add to the discussion so your classmates have something to read, your thoughts and your ideas of what might happen next. The next chapter, chapter 9, is titled Super Fudge, which is actually the title of our book, right?